Tell me I look like bananas in pajamas without telling me I look like banana in pajamas. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll leave it right here, a little image of them. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy, and today we're going to be talking about questions the narcissist can never answer. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Missy. I'm a life and relationship coach, and on this channel we get to the root of the issue and we learn how to heal and deal. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So narcissists are a shell of a person. They don't have a true authentic self. They are just a result of their trauma. So as a result of their trauma, they were made to feel deep shame and hurt, and so they built an ego to protect themselves from experiencing this pain and this shame. And part of the ego is they have a grandiose sense of self. So the grandiose sense of self is that protective barrier to protect all of the actual shame and hurt and insecurities, which that explains the grandiose sense of self. So when you have a grandiose sense of self, you create a delusion of who you are and you never face the reality of who you actually are. This is why they live off of manipulating other people, controlling other people, and getting that supply. Because they have this deep pain, they need to drag other people down on their level to also experience the pain they're experiencing. Because they don't have this authentic self, they need to manipulate and control people to feel something. That's one way they feel validated, or they need other people to validate them and uplift them and praise them to fill their ego so then they can continue to bury that deep shame. When you build a relationship with someone, or you have a relationship with someone, there's always a curiosity with them. You want to get to know them on a deep, honest, and vulnerable level. With narcissists, because they are not genuine, authentic, honest, or vulnerable, they won't be able to go down to that level with you. And so you will have some questions for them that they'll never be able to truly answer, and you won't get an authentic answer from them. So the first question is, why do you behave the way you do? Any question revolving around, why did you do this action? Why do you feel this way? Anything revolves around their behavior, they'll never be able to answer, because that takes self-awareness and self-reflection, which is something they do not have. There is a block. And there's actually been studies that have shown in the prefrontal cortex, where the empathy is and the self-reflection, it's thinned out. So that shows that they actually have a brain defect, and they literally can't go there where they can self-reflect. So when it comes to their behavior, they know what they're doing, they just don't know why they're doing it. And even though they know what they're doing, they live in such a shameful place, they deny and manipulate the reality of their intentions of what they're doing. There's this story that plays in their head that they're doing it for a good reason. Maybe they're behaving a certain way because they're protecting themselves, they're protecting you, they're reacting off of something. There's always some type of reason to excuse their behavior, but they wouldn't go to that deep place of being able to be like, yeah, I'm upset and I was irrational and I did this and I was wrong. They can't explain why they're doing certain behaviors. Narcissists are highly emotional and go very much based off their emotions the same way a child does. No real self-regulation, just acting off of those emotions and not thinking about why they're doing it. The next question is, what are your deepest hurts? That is a very vulnerable question. They will deny ever that they're really hurting. They may, if they admit that they're hurting, they may say something shallow, like, oh, I don't have the house I want, or I don't have this certain thing. Or they'll say that, you're the only thing that causes them pain. They may turn it around and be like, what are your deepest hurts? They may completely deflect the question. Admitting that hurt takes self-awareness, and it comes from a very vulnerable place, and they've shut that vulnerability part of them to deal with their trauma. There's a huge block. In reality, a lot of their deepest pains are because of them and because of things they do. Like, they drive people away, they hurt other people. That takes accountability, and they can't think that deep. And so they don't want to even imagine some of their deepest pains. Or if parents had hurt them in the past when they've had previous traumas, they don't want to go there because that is so painful and they feel so much shame about it. They don't want to admit that that's what they're experiencing. They want to live in a delusion that they're this happy-go-lucky person. They also view hurt and pains as something that's so vulnerable, and it's admitting weakness inside of them, or they see it as weakness inside of them. They don't want someone else to know their genuine emotions. They have so much hurt, and like I said, that they build that shield around that. When you ask that question, it's like, whoa, we're not going there, too much, and those protective barriers come out. They want to appear strong, and like things don't affect them, even if they victimize themselves. Oftentimes they'll say one thing and then contradict themselves and say the complete opposite. The next question, which is a huge one that I don't think is talked about enough, and that's, how can we move forward and solve this problem? So if you're in a partnership, or if you have an issue with a narcissistic parent, boss, whatever, when you have an issue, they can talk about that issue all day, talk down to you, tell you that you're a garbage person, put their hands on you, whatever it is. But when it comes to, okay, how are we gonna solve this problem? There's no steps moving forward. They'll tell you what you can do, but they don't take any accountability and talk about what they can do moving forward. They wanna make it seem like you need to solve the problem because you are the problem. They generally want to sabotage you from being able to solve any of the problems. They want constant conflict, because when they have conflict, they can have power. They can stay in that narrative that you're the bad guy and they're the good guy. And so even if you did, let's say, try to take some steps moving forward, you did some of the things that they said, it still wouldn't be good enough. They would complain in some sort of way. They would mess you up in some sort of way. They would cause arguments. They would try to drag you down and make sure that you don't try to solve this problem or move forward in any type of way. They are too emotionally unavailable, and it takes too much strength for them to go there to think about ways that they can solve some of the problems. They don't want it to be genuinely resolved. They want to keep complaining, and they want to keep getting their supply. If you resolve the issue, then they can't get their supply anymore. The next question is, what are flaws you have or mistakes you have made? This is a big one that I would recommend asking anyone that you're starting to get to know more, and if they can't answer this question, that's a big red flag. So a narcissist will usually say something very shallow, like they made a mistake on something at work, or a flaw they have is they don't go to the gym enough, you know, something very shallow. Or maybe they'll bring up something that you have said in the past to win brownie points, like, oh yeah, I yell a little too much, but they don't really genuinely believe that. They just don't think too deep about mistakes or flaws they make. Usually when someone who's healthy-minded, who can self-reflect, when they make a mistake or they have a flaw, they can say, oh yeah, I really messed up on this certain thing, or I really don't like that I'm not patient enough with other people, or, you know, they're willing to be open and admit these mistakes and these flaws. With a narcissist, because of their deep shame, they don't want to bring up any of these vulnerabilities, or that there could be possibly things wrong with them. They don't want other people to know that there's possibly things that are wrong with them, or they can do things wrong. That breaks their delusion. Acknowledging they have shortcomings is too deep for them. Instead, they'll make you seem crazy for bringing that up. Like, why are you bringing up negativity? Or they will turn it around on you and talk about how some of your flaws and your issues. Or they just straight up just blame it on others. So they'll admit something, but then they'll be like, oh yeah, it's because of this person. You'll never be able to really truly get to the root of their issues, and they'll never admit anything. Which that ties into the next question, is what's something you would like to improve on? Which is another question I definitely recommend you ask someone, and this will tell you a lot based on their answer. So this again goes into that lack of self-accountability and lack of self-reflection. And they don't want to think that there's areas that they should improve on. They want to feel like they're already perfect and good as it is. They don't want any criticism or ways to move forward in their life. They want to stay stagnant. They usually will say everyone else needs to improve, or that outside circumstances need to improve, but nothing about themselves need to improve. Or, especially if they're covert, they may say very shallow or changes, or they'll admit things but make very temporary changes. So they'll say, oh yeah, I want to improve on something. So let's say you're married to a narcissist, especially a covert narcissist, and you're like, listen, if you keep yelling at me and blaming me for things, this marriage is not going to work. They may get scared because you are threatening to leave and they have a huge fear of abandonment, so then they'll act like they're making changes, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to counseling and I'm gonna work on some of my issues and we're gonna make it work, and I know that we're broken, we need to fix things, and So they'll say all the right things, but then they won't make those changes. They won't do the homework that's given. They won't, or if they do, it's very temporary. It's not a long-term change. And it's because they don't really feel like they need to improve. They think everyone else needs to improve. So that's one of the biggest reasons why you can't work with a narcissist, is because they don't acknowledge their shortcomings and they don't feel they need to improve in a certain area. So, and they can't self-reflect. So if you have all those things, how can you move forward with someone? How do you make someone stop abusing you? You can't. Well, you never can make someone do anything, but you can't work with someone or stop them from hurting you if they don't have that ability. The sixth question is, why do you behave one way in public and a different way behind closed doors? They would deny the crap out of that one. Like I said, they know some of their behavior is wrong. That's why they hide it behind closed doors. You rarely would see them have an outburst in public. They'll usually contain themselves. You rarely would see them talking down to you. They'll do it in other passive aggressive ways, or, you know, try to get people to be on their side and then put you down in other subtle ways, make jokes at you. They'll do those things in certain ways, but they do it in a way where they always look like the good guy, or they look like this pleasant, you know, playful, fun person. Their true authentic self is when they're blaming you, when they're having those rages, when they're devaluing you. That's all them, because like I said, they are built off of their trauma. They just are living in that trauma, the trauma responses. When it comes to people outside of your home, they want their admiration. That's another way they can get that supply. They want these people to think they're the bee's knees. It not only fills their ego when these outside people are saying all these positive things, but it also is another supply, another way to gaslight you. Because when you're telling them, oh, you're doing all these negative things, they're like, well, no one else believes I am this person that you're telling me I am, and no one else thinks these things about me. And then it makes you feel crazy for saying anything negative because everyone else likes them. It's a persona they like to keep up for the public. They don't recognize why they're doing it. They just know, oh yeah, I want to behave this certain way in front of other people, but behind closed doors, and when it feels more safe for me, I'm gonna just let loose. And I'm going to do what I genuinely want to do, and that's to manipulate and control everybody. And the last question, which I think a lot of us have, is, if you say how horrible I am and you're always discarding me, why do you come back? If you were to ask this question to a narcissist, their answer may be because they love you and they want to help you. They'll tell you that they believe that you guys can work on these things together. Or if it's a parent, they'll say that they love you and you're their child and they don't want to give up on you. Really, what they don't want to say is, one, they have a terrifying fear of abandonment themselves, and the other thing is that it makes them feel superior. You are a source of supply and a tool. They don't want to lose that tool and that supply. They don't want to lose them feeling superior, of feeling like you need them and you can't survive without them. They like to feel like you need them around. So that's why they'll keep coming back again and again. And as long as you make them feel like you need them, they'll always come back around. If you don't make them feel like you need them in any sort of way, and you're very boring and bland, they'll go away, because they can't work with you, they can't manipulate you, they can't control you. You have a strong sense of self, and you're in your own, and you're in reality, and they can't abuse you if you're like that. So what do you guys think? What are some of your takes on these questions? Leave it all in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys! I really don't want to be in my place anymore, because there was not one, not two, but 3 giant spiders within the past 5 days. I have nightmares about these things. I'm living in a nightmare right now. My hair is just not cooperating. Like, I apologize. I swear I brushed my hair. I even did it. It's just the humidity is just not a fan of my hair. Or my fan's not a fan of my hair is not a fan of the humidity. Either or. They're both, they're not on the same wavelength. I literally need to be medicated. Work will work when nothing else works. You know what? Let's put on some glasses. Hopefully you can't see how dirty they are. Or I look like I'm going to jail.